everyone. Welcome to the Bomb Mom Podcast. Tracy Coenen, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Melissa.
I'm kind of excited to dive into this topic today. We're going to be diving into all kinds of money talk, divorce, everything. It's not pretty, it's not sexy, but it is a really hot topic right now.
Well, no one says that talking about divorce is necessarily going to be fun, but I promise it is going to be fun because I am all about taking control of the financial part of the divorce, because that's what women are so worried about, that they're going to get screwed financially in their divorces. And guess what? Statistically speaking, they actually do.
Oh.
Everyone's standard of living goes down after divorce because you've got the same amount of money coming in, but now you've got two households to pay for and things like that. But guess what? For women, the standard of living goes down far more after divorce than it does for men. And I'm here to try to help make a change in that regard.
I love it. And I completely believe that too. And that's, I think, one of the number one reasons why women stay, and they stay stuck. They're unhealthy. They're unhappy. And I want to bring light to this topic because it's like, ladies, it's going to suck. It's going to be really crappy and everything, but you can find a way. There's always a way through this ugliness and the madness. And I love that you're going to be our guide through it.
Yeah, there is a way. And you're right. People stay in the marriages, I always see, for one of two primary reasons, either for the kids or because of the money. And I totally get wanting to protect your kids. Although I'd like to say that, if it's an unhappy, unhealthy household, that is detrimental to the kids. But I'm not an expert there, so we'll set that aside. Let's just talk about the money. You're right. There is a way. There is a way to find a new career, find financial stability, and it might be a long road to get there, but it is absolutely possible. And so I'm trying to help people get the tools to make that happen for themselves.
Right. And you have the divorce money guide, right? This is something that's online that people can access to kind of help them navigate this.
Sure. So what the divorce money guide does is help them understand where their money is, what it has been spent on. What I'm trying to do here is help people, primarily women, because that's who I work with mostly, help them figure out what's been going on with the money. And if they have suspicions that their husband has been hiding money or doing something inappropriate, it'll help them find that. And the idea is that you can't make a good decision about a financial settlement in your divorce unless you have the facts. So we want to get the facts about exactly where is the money, how much is there, what have we been spending as a family. Oops, did we find that my spouse has been spending money on online porn, on gambling? Maybe he went and bought a rental property that you know nothing about. We're looking for these kinds of things so that you can make that informed decision and come to the table in the divorce from a position of power. Knowledge is power.
Yeah. And when I went through my divorce, I talk about it on the podcast a lot. I ended a 17-year marriage. I handled nothing as far as the finances, like his stock, retirement, investments. Like I had no clue what was going on. I just knew when we got married, I was like, I want my name on the house, and I want my name on like the boat and the toys. And that was it. I had no clue about anything. And we didn't do lawyers. We did a, oh God, what's the guy called in the middle? Like a
mediator.
Mediator. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we started looking at numbers and everything. And I was like, I don't know what any of this means. And I don't know if I'm getting screwed or not. So I ended up I'm like, I'm going to go find someone else. I'm going to go talk to a lawyer. And she looked at everything and she had questions and helped. But like, this would have been so perfect for me.
Right. So the idea is to help empower you to understand it so you don't have to pay extra attorney's fees to have them going through all the numbers and things like that. Mm-hmm. What I have found, because I've been working in this field for more than 25 years, is that people who are in a position like you were feel ashamed that they weren't involved with the money.
So much.
And say, oh my gosh, I was so stupid. I didn't keep an eye on things. But I am also here to tell people that this is normal in marriages. There is usually, very often, one spouse who takes care of the money and the other spouse doesn't pay attention to it because you don't need to. You trust your spouse. You are taking care of other things for the family. We divide the duties. I really want to help take away that shame. It doesn't matter if you don't know what's been going on with the money. We can fix that. We can help you know now.
That's nice that like it is fixable, because it just, and that's what I do. I work with women all day, every day. And if they are stuck in a marriage that makes them feel awful and terrible and unhappy and unsatisfied and all the things, they will be stuck in every other area of their life. Like literally weight loss. Like you won't lose weight if you don't see your value and you're not being treated right. And like, you're just in a scared situation. Your body's going to go, oh, we're in a scared situation. We're going to stay. And like, your body won't change. And they'll be like, I'm working out so hard. And I'm doing all the things. And I'm like, what else is going on? So
Melissa, I think that people jokingly talk about the revenge body after a divorce, but
yeah.
I am not an expert in your area whatsoever, but I honestly think that there is something there about people getting out of toxic relationships that allows them to reclaim their bodies and get healthier.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think part of like reclaiming financial control is another really big step towards that too. Now you have a book out now too called Find Me the Money. Tell us a little bit about that and what's the difference between the book and the guide?
The book is written as a novel, sort of.
Okay.
It's the story of Jackie, who is going through a divorce. She left her job in marketing 10 years ago to start having a family with her husband, Derek, and has been raising the kids as a stay at home mom. And one day, Derek tells her he wants a divorce, and there's another woman. As it turns out, he's been having an affair. He has been spending money on this affair. He's been hiding money from Jackie. And the book walks us through Jackie's story of how the divorce process goes, the important things about the money, how she uses the divorce money guide to help her figure out what Derek's been doing with the money, and ultimately how she comes out of this divorce with a fair settlement and on decent financial footing with her children.
How did you come up with the story? Is this based on a client that you know, or like just the average American woman that you've heard the story so many times Jackie was created?
It's a combination of all the clients that I've had, right? I've heard these stories so often. I've heard these thoughts. One of the really powerful parts of this story is that you hear Jackie's thoughts throughout the story. So there will be a line in italics, which is what Jackie is thinking. So she starts going through a drawer in a desk and finds some financial documents that she wasn't expecting. And she says to herself, how could I have been so stupid? I wasn't paying attention. And all these things that I have heard women say when they've come to me for help with their divorces. And that's what the basis was for this book. So it's an easy read. It's a shorter book, but it's really to help women just see the possibilities for themselves, that you can go from being uninformed about the money to learning about it to whatever level you're comfortable at, and coming out of that divorce with a decent settlement that allows you to find a place to live with your kids and ensures that you're going to have food on the table every night.
Oh, it's so scary though, Tracy. Like,
I
and this
know.
is still fresh for me. Like 3 years ago. Yeah, it's still pretty fresh. And like when he decided, when we're like, okay, we're like separating, like this is happening. And he's like, we're going to sell the house. And this was right when COVID like hit. And I'm like, and I knew our house would sell fast. I knew it would. It sold in less than 24 hours. I had
Wow.
two weeks to get out and find a rental for me and my children.
Yeah, that's really scary. And there's so much that goes along with wondering, can the kids stay in their school? Do we have
Yeah.
to change school districts? Or if your kids are in private school, will they be able to stay in that private school? Are they going to, still have their same friends? Am I going to be able to pay for their extracurriculars? Am I going to be able to feed them? There is so much tied into the financial stuff, which is why I just want to help. If you can get a better financial settlement coming out of it, maybe a little bit more of that bank account, a little bit more of that investment account, a little more equity in the house for whatever reason, that will go a long way to helping you be more stable financially.
How, okay, so what can you take us through like a couple steps? Like if someone's listening, I'm trying to think of like our audience and our listeners, and someone's like, oh my God, I'm Jackie, or,
Right.
like they are describing my life right now. What's the first thing that someone should do besides read your guide and book, obviously?
The first thing that I have people do is really focus on securing information.
Okay.
That means if you have access to your bank account online,
Mhm.
log into that and start downloading all the statements that are available and save them somewhere secure, somewhere in the cloud, password protected, that they can't accidentally get deleted, that your spouse can't get rid of them for you. If you have documents in a desk drawer at home, tax returns, things like that, make copies of them, put the copies in a safe place with a friend or somewhere that you trust, and put the originals back in the drawer. So gathering information is super important. Now, if you're not able to get the kind of information I'm talking about through the divorce process, your attorney will be able to get them using the legal system. But I always say, if you have an opportunity to get information
Yeah.
now at no cost, grab it. I also want people to protect their personal information. So I recommend getting a brand new email address that your spouse doesn't know about. That allows you to communicate privately with your attorney, with allies, with people like me.
That's such a good
Because,
idea.
well, here's what people don't think about. And this happened to me a few months ago. I was going through a closet in my house and I came across an old phone that I had probably 8 or 10 years ago, older than old. And so I plugged it into a charger and turned it on just to see if there was anything on it. It immediately connected to my Wi-Fi and started downloading emails, like new emails from now. Right? So that's what I'm telling people is if
Oh,
you have an email address that is connected on an old laptop or an old phone or iPad that you forgot about and your spouse grabbed it, they might have access right now to see all your emails going in and out. But if you create a brand new email address, that risk isn't there, right? That's never been logged in anywhere. And it sounds simple once I say it, but prior to me saying it, were you even thinking along those lines?
hmm. Wow. My mind's blown right now. What else? Is there another one that you're like, and do this? Because if you're on a roll right
Um,
now, I don't want to stop you.
I'm not on a roll. I mean,
Okay.
so what we do in the divorce money guide is I've got 10 steps. And you don't have to do all of them, don't even have to do them in order. But the very first one is this prepare for divorce kind of thing,
Okay.
where I want you to sort of get your footing, get the lay of the land, and kind of, I hate to say this, but be ready for battle. Because even if you and your spouse are separating amicably, it can at some point turn ugly. And so I want you to look out for yourself first. I know everyone says, well, I don't want to rock the boat. I
Yes.
don't want to be the one who makes it not be amicable. No, we quietly gather information. We quietly get a new email address. Here's a great one. Go run a credit check on yourself. Run your credit report at a site like creditkarma.com. You can get it for free there. Just to see if there are any debts out there that you didn't know about that are attached to your name. Very important to protect yourself that way.
Another one I wouldn't have thought of, but that's true. And I love that there is like steps in this guide because it makes it less overwhelming. Um, and you're so right because things can turn like on a dime. Like as soon
Right.
as you think like, no, we're getting along, we can handle this. Man, when you start talking about money with some men, and they start seeing
Right.
things cut in half, it's like this beast emerges. And for me, I was like, who are you? Like, we're talking about like how I'm going to care for our children now. And it was like, that's mine. And
I can't tell you how many women I've talked to who have been involved in the divorce process and they've said, well, my husband says he's going to keep paying the mortgage and he's going to keep paying my car note and he's going to give me X dollars a month to make sure that I can pay the bills and buy the groceries. And so we don't need to have this on paper with the court. I don't need to go to court to get what we call temporary orders, which is the legal document from the court that says who's paying what and how much every month. And they say, no, he's saying he's going to take care of us. Guess what? The minute something blows up and he says, that's it, I'm stopping paying the mortgage right now. I'm not going to send you any money. Oh my goodness, you can be in a world of hurt because it might take you a month or 2 months or 3 months to get in front of a judge and have a judge order those things to be paid.
yeah, we had a deal like when things were first starting and everything wasn't like whatever. Uh, he shut off the credit cards and like I literally went to go buy groceries the same way I always did, and it was declined.
So we're giving away all the secrets from the divorce money guide now, and I don't care. But one of those first things that I advise people to do as well is quietly go get a credit card in your name only. And this is especially important if you don't have a source of income of your own, or your income is very low while you are still married. Your credit histories are kind of tied together, and you can report household income, including your spouse's. And so if you guys have decent credit, you will have a very high likelihood of being able to get that credit card in your name alone. And so this happens a lot where they shut off the credit card. They take your name off an account. That's your protection, to have that credit card in your name and also a bank account in your name. And so if you have money in a joint account, let's say, at least half of that money is yours, maybe even more, depending on the circumstances. And so I always say, go open a bank account of your own, take money out of that joint account and fund that bank account that's in your name only. So you have some funds.
Because it's like, from the date of like marriage, like when you got married, all of the assets, like you're entitled to half.
And attorneys, yes, attorneys will be, screaming right now saying, wait, but, because the laws differ by state exactly what it says. But I say, we're talking to everyone right now. And as a general rule, think of half. And then that'll be pretty safe way to think about it, because unless you have a prenuptial agreement or some special situation, you are right. It's typically half. But that being said, I do tell women that there are circumstances under which you're entitled to much more than half. Let's say you've been a stay-at-home mom for 15 years and you have no retirement account. Now your no retirement account of your own, right? Your husband has been contributing. You are behind compared to where you would have been had you stayed in the workforce for those 15 years. You will never catch up on retirement savings the way your husband can save. So a court might actually award you more than half of that retirement account that should be shared by the two of you. So it's not always 50-50. And there are good arguments that can be made for someone getting more than half of that account.
Interesting. Very interesting. And I'm so glad we're talking about this, because it's just, I can list like 5 women right now that I know, business, personally, through my kids, that they're like, I'm not happy. I want out. I'm miserable. Or he did this. And like, now, he wants me to stay. And this is the stuff that keeps them, and they're stuck and they're scared. And it's okay to like, I just want to make sure we just reiterate that, like, it's okay to do these things. You're not being sneaky. You're not being manipulative. It's taking care of you and protecting you and your children, if you're a mom. And I worked and ran my business and stuff, but like my primary job through the majority of our marriage was taking care of the children. And then I worked when I could and I can, but he had his big corporate job, and when we first were together, that big corporate job wanted me. And I was like, I'm going to be with the kids, and that was my biggest thing through it all, when it would come down to money. And I'm like, look, you're in the position you're in right now because of me.
That's exactly it.
I took care of the children while you advanced. I helped you with the interviews. I helped you do the things, and like, you have your home and everything because of me. That's all that money isn't yours. And a lot of women are told that. This is mine.
And they want to say, oh, I worked all the long hours. Yeah. The only reason you were able to work the long hours was because I stayed behind and made sure the kids were taken care of, made sure that they got taken to school. I just see so many women being told by their husbands, this is my retirement account and you're not getting any of it. This is my paycheck and you're not getting any of it. Sorry, buddy. That's not the way it works. That's not the way the laws read. And so I caution women, do not be scared off by claims like this, or they say, you'll never get anything from the house. You'll never get anything from the retirement account. It's not how it works. Sorry.
No, legal action comes into play, and there's laws and stuff to protect, but you're right. And if it's a rocky marriage anyways, and he's a narcissistic asshole, anyways, it's like, it's no surprise that he's going to be saying this to you and feeding it to you, that,
right.
And you're never going to make it on your own. Those are popular ones too. But like, just before we recorded, I had a conversation with someone. We were going back and like voice DMing each other. And she's like, I don't want to start over. I don't know how to do it. I'm scared. I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally interviewing Tracy here in like 30 minutes. And
Well,
we're
and
talking
you know
about this.
what? There are divorce coaches out there who work with people who have concerns like that. The fears of starting over, the fears of being able to navigate the divorce process itself. There are so many people and resources out there these days. And the key is just being able to connect women with those resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they don't have to go through it alone. We,
Correct.
I mean, this isn't like the old Wild West where we all live like 10 miles away from each other and just have to deal with everything in silence. That's why I love podcasting. I love having guests on like you, because we need to keep being reminded of that you're not in this alone. There are professionals out there to help. There are guides, books to read to help you guys through all of this, because it's scary. It's absolutely terrifying to think that you're going to be living on the side of the road in a cardboard box with your children and your dog.
Well, I will tell you, if you read my book, Find Me the Money, and you're going through the process of divorce, you are going to wonder how I got into your head in this book, right?
Yeah.
Jackie is going to be thinking things throughout this book, and you're going to say, oh my God, I thought the exact same thing, or I feel that same way about what's been happening with me, because I've just seen it so often. And so I think the book is really a tool to affirm for women going through the divorce process that they aren't alone, that this isn't unusual, and that they can make it through it.
Mm-hmm. Why did you pick? Because you've been in like investigating fraud for years and
Right.
years, right?
I'm a forensic accountant, and I've been doing it for more than 25 years. And I do it in the corporate world. So when executives are stealing money and other shenanigans, and I do it on the divorce side. Probably only about a third of my consulting work is in the divorce world. So I do a variety of stuff. But last year, I was in one of my coaching groups where, I'm a student, and we were in a breakout room, and we were talking about things that bother us related to our business. What's a big bother for you? And I said, one of the bothers I have is the phone calls I get from women who are in the process of divorce, who think that there's missing money and they need a forensic accountant, but they can't afford one. And so there's, I I provide professional services. I have to be paid. And so there are women that I can't help, and I'm bothered that there isn't a resource out there. There's nothing for them. And so if someone went to her divorce attorney and said, hey, I think my husband's been hiding money, the attorney is going to say, well, you need a forensic accountant to look into it. And she might say, well, I can't afford that. And he'll say, well, sorry, then there's nothing else we can do. That was sort of my impetus. I thought, why isn't there a resource out there? And then I thought, why can't I create the resource?
I love that. I love when things are created and made from a need, and like, it's just not here. It's not available. I'm going to make it. It's
Right.
the best tools out there ever. I just keep finding this over and over and over again. Like the podcast coming out this week is all about the most amazing, like on the go protein shake. And, and I'm like, why did you create this? Like there's a ton out there. And he's like, there wasn't any that, were more natural and didn't have the sweeteners and all the crap and junk. He's like, there really wasn't. So I made it. It's like the best product ever. So I've got to believe that your book is just like the best book ever to take women. And I love that you did as a novel. I love that we're listening to Jackie's story and we can relate, because that's the stuff that we actually sit down and read and we listen to, not like, oh my God, I'm listening to a lawyer go on and on about divorce and paperwork and numbers.
Well, who wants to read a technical book about the divorce money guide? That's no fun. The money topic creates a lot of stress for people, especially for people who say, well, I'm not good with numbers. I will tell you what, you don't have to be good with numbers even to do the divorce money guide. But as far as the book goes, I didn't want it to just be a rehash of the divorce money guide. I didn't want it to be some sort of technical read that you had to be like, slogging through it. I wanted it to be very relatable. And that's why we chose to do it in more of a story format.
I think it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What would be your best piece of advice to someone listening right now that's in Jackie's situation or very similar to it? Like, what would you want to reach out and say to her right now?
We've said it, you're not alone. There are so many people like you, and there are so many resources out there. And so all it takes is asking someone that you trust, like Melissa. If you trust Melissa's judgment and you have a good relationship with her, just ask her, hey, do you know anyone? And if Melissa doesn't know someone who does specifically what you need, she will say, I don't know someone who does that, but I know someone who would know someone who does that. Like that's how
Yeah.
it's all done. Like, let's be a tribe here and help get it done together.
Yeah. Oh no, tribe is like the key word right there. And I think women, I say it all the time, women thrive in tribes. We
Yep.
absolutely thrive in tribes, and that support is just huge going through all this, because I'm just going to say it again. If you're stuck in one area of your life, it's going to trickle out and affect everything.
Yep.
And, but it's like, people don't believe me until they actually get stuck and they're like, I don't understand. I'm doing all this and I just can't move this part of my life. I'm like, everything's connected. The mind, the body, the heart, the soul, the energy, everything's all connected. So,
Absolutely.
well, I can't thank you enough for coming on today, Tracy. This has been like so educational, for all of our listeners and our viewers on YouTube. Um, I'm excited too, to just have in my toolkit a guide to help women, because I run into this all the time in my program. Because we get to know each other so well, and this topic gets brought up, and I'm going to be like, you, my friend, need to go get the book, Find Me the Money.
Right. I
You need to
love
get it.
that.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's just another thing that we get to have in our bag of tricks. With like a good healthy protein shake, your book will be in that bag now.
I
So,
love it.
well, thank you again. Tell us where we can find you. Are you on social media? Are you on Facebook? What's your website? Everything. We'll put it in the show notes too.
Here's what I've got. I've got one page where everyone who's listening to this podcast can go
Perfect.
to see everything we talked about. And it's on my website, Fraud Coach, because I am your fraud coach, fraudcoach.com/bomb mom. So that's easy enough to remember, right?
Absolutely.
So I've got some tools there. I've got an assessment, a little quiz that you can take if you have some concerns about the money in your marriage, but you're not sure if you should be worried or not. Take my little quiz. I'll tell you if I think you should be worried or not. There's a link to the book. There's
I
a link
like
to the
that.
divorce money guide. There's a coupon code for some money off the divorce money guide. So it's all there for you.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you. Thanks for making that little landing page for us. That's going to be awesome.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, everyone will love that. Well, thank you again for coming on, for sharing with us. It's not a fun topic. It's just not fun. It's not what people need to hear or want to hear, but they need to hear it. And this
It's
is
not a
good.
fun topic, but you can take control.
You
You
can.
can.
You really can. And we have so many different listeners to this podcast, men, women, younger people, whatever. And I know we'll even have like a teenager listen to this and they'll be like, Mom, you need to listen to this episode.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I hope some of your listeners reach out. I love connecting with people. So when you go to that landing page, you'll see my social media, you'll see it all. And so
Oh,
please
cool.
feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on, Tracy. I hope we get to work again together in
Me
some
too.
way, in some fashion, and maybe a Facebook Live.
I would
think,
love it. I would love a Facebook Live.
I think that would be really fun when we air this episode. All right, everyone, go get the book, Find Me the Money, get her guide, Divorce Money Guide. We'll put everything in the show notes. So if you're driving and listening, it's all there for you. Everyone, stay safe, stay healthy. Until next time.